Well, my name is Russ Festino. Welcome, everybody. Today was a really great shirt day. I had quite a few to choose from. We got this great conference shirt. May the source be with you. I love that. And then we also had, I had this one here. This is May the Fourth be with you. Actually, the Festino brothers, we sell clothes and T-shirts and stuff like that. So we have this up on our Store Envy store, fbiapps.storeenvy.com. See, I'm on this shirt, by the way, for those that, I'm one of the OGs. You go back a ways too. Were you at the first one? Third one on? Yeah. I'm been a developer advocate for about 25 years. And that's the role I enjoy the most. And I think second most is working with apps, right? Building apps with MAUI and Xamarin used to be where it evolved from. And the reason I like that is quite a bit because, you can do a lot of platforms with one set of source code. And so let's go ahead and get going here. Today we're going to talk about GitHub CoPilot as well as MAUI and testing with MAUI. So there's I started talking about the three brothers, right? So the one's a musician, the other one's the artist, and I got the code. A little bit about my company. I actually wrote a book, Azure and Xamarin Forms. Don't buy it because it's out of date now as of May 1st or whatever. No more Xamarin Forms support. And the Azure's really changed since then too. A former MVP, and my brother Rich is a musician, and he wrote the song I'll Read the Elephant. I started telling you guys about our book that we got coming out. And then also Gary's the artist, so that's the Festino brothers, FBI apps. So why do I care about GitHub CoPilot and MAUI? Again, one more time, show of hands, how many people are fairly new to MAUI? And how about fairly new to GitHub CoPilot? All right, you're all in the right spot then. Yeah, saves time, right? Both of these. It helps you generate and boilerplate code. Like if you just type in what you want, you got to kind of know what you want, right? You type that into GitHub CoPilot and it'll give you the source code, whether it's XAML or whether it's C# or really any of the languages in between. The speeding up code is really essential. I think I'm having fun, right? Using and doing coding with GitHub CoPilot. It motivates me to even do more. And because I'm spending less time doing the mundane stuff, it takes care of that. And then also reducing the need to context switch. This is important because when you are in code, when you want to look something up on Stack Overflow forums or Discord or something like that, and then you see something come up and you start going out to that site, check that out. And then by the time you come back to, Visual Studio, it's like, what was I doing again? Oh yeah. And so keeping the same context within your development environment, it really helps you focus and really continue there. When you're working with Copilot, it does provide you best practices, and it's really great for learning new languages. I was talking to somebody at lunch today that they didn't know Python, but they knew C#, and they got a job that worked with Python, so they would type in the C# and say, what's this look like in Python? And so that's another great way. The last job I had, I was with Algorand for 4.5 years, a blockchain company. And I went in there and I knew some JavaScript and predominantly C#, but they, had to do all the code examples in Go, Python, Java, JavaScript. So I had to learn all this stuff, right? So then I had to go to like LinkedIn Learning. I got through it. It did okay, but it was time consuming. If I had something like this to get me to that point, it would have been a lot quicker. Also improving code quality, because there's a lot of good best practices typically is what you do there with Copilot. There's a lot of features within Edge as well with Copilot there too. So I sometimes I'll bounce back and forth between the two depending what kind of assistance I need. If it's code oriented, then I'm using GitHub Copilot. If it's I started telling the story about the back cover of the book, right? We fed what we had in there, said neaten it up, and it really had a nice organized thing. And then at the end, I said, okay, now why should parents want to buy this book? And it was brilliant. You know, the text it came up with was so great in terms of marketing stuff that we're going to use that, you know, when we go to print the book. And Maui's one-stop shopping, right? You do one code base, and now you can deploy to several different platforms. Platforms include platforms like iOS, Android, Windows. You got Mac now, Mac desktop, and Tizen for doing refrigerator apps if you want to do that. So the brilliant thing was back in 2018, Microsoft acquired GitHub. Maybe remember when that happened? $7.5 billion. And that, in my opinion, was one of the smartest acquisitions that Microsoft ever did. I used to work for Microsoft from 97 to 09. That was such a good purchase because at the time, there was 28 million developers. There was also 1.5 million companies represented in just about every, you know, country on the planet. And then also all the verticals, you know, healthcare, manufacturing, technology. Satya Nadella said, we strengthen our commitment to developer freedom and openness to innovation. Well, that's true. But in addition to that, they used machine learning models to create GitHub CoPilot AI. And it really made a big, big difference. And so you got all the AI-powered code completion. A gentleman was talking about the code completion, how he was just floored how automatic it is. And then we got increased productivity. You know, there you can just put a slash down in your interactive GitHub, and you can do doc. You can just explain this code to me. Well, yeah, what's it doing? And then also you got ways to help fix it, optimize the code, run tests. Those are all baked right in because they had a really good base of information, right? That they can draw all this code that was out there. And when I went to Build last May, and my jaw was dropped. First of all, every keynote is about AI and Copilot, but the one in particular, you know, was you know, the dev tools and just seeing how much more productive developers could be. And the nice thing, it integrated with Visual Studio as well as VS Code, right, as extensions. So MAUI, and it stands for Microsoft Application User Interface, multi-platform UI, cross-platform framework like we talked about for mobile apps, Android and iOS, and then desktop with Mac OS and Windows, and then you know, Tizen as well for TVs and make yourself a TV. It's an evolution of Xamarin Forms. All right, so we got demos the rest of the way here, and we'll go ahead do a demo on testing, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so we're going to do a new project. I'm going to type in MAUI, see what kind of templates we got. So the first one will be just a MAUI app. The second one's a MAUI Blazor hybrid app. And so how many people here know Blazor? A few of you. So what you can do is you can make your UI in Blazor if you want to. If you pick the one on top, that's XAML. All right, that'll be your UI. So I did look into it, and it's not like you can create a web app with this, but you might be able to have a little bit more reusability, right, for those that are doing web apps as well to go along with the other platforms. Then there's a class library. So let's go ahead and pick on this one here to start with. And let's go, this will be our South Florida DevCon, and next. And then .NET support, 8 or 7. We'll go with the newest here and go ahead and create this project. So let's go ahead and build this, and then we'll go ahead and run it. Now, while it's building, you can see the different platforms over here. Android, these are all Android specific code that's in each one of these. So you got Android, iOS, Mac, Tizen, and then also in the resources folder, which you can see here, this is where all your images are going to go. The thing about images, you'll see I'm going to bring up one demo next. It's got all PNG files in there. But now with MAUI, if you use vector graphics, SVG files, it'll automatically convert those into your code, into your UI, which is a breath of fresh air. I can't tell you how I struggled in the past on creating the right size, the right format for every single image. And I see a lot of heads bobbing out there. You bet that's painful. This helps tremendously. All right, so it looks like that's finished up. And then now we'll just go ahead and run this on the Windows machine. And what you'll see here is the sample app in all of its glory. And all it does is it has one page on it. You can see GitHub coming up here. I'll show you how I got that in there in a second. And there it is. So you got the click event, going in. You got your little race car, your little Maui character, and you're off and running. Let's stop this from running and let me show you a couple things here. First of all, those that are brand new to this, there's two pieces that are major. One is you have the XAML markup. It's like XML, but you see these are all the controls that you would put in there. You saw the image coming up on top, the labels. You got a button for clicking, and then in the code behind, what you have here is the incrementer for the count. Couple things. What you really want to evolve to is a model view model kind of scenario, and CoPilot can help you do that now. And so that was always a stumbling block for me back in the day. But once you get used to it, then you can see how helpful this thing is. And so what I'm going to do here now is show you how to install CoPilot. So if you go under your extensions pull down and manage these here, what you'll see is if you do a search on what's out there, let's go ahead and just do a GitHub Co. All right, you'll see that two of them come up there on top. One of them is GitHub completions, CoPilot completions. So that's right inside the code window. You can work right in there. One of the screenshots I showed in the PowerPoint slide had that with the slash and doc and all that kind of stuff. The other one is a CoPilot chat. Some, could be just a matter of preference. They both accomplish the same things, but it depends how you work and how you like to have it easily accessible. So that's how you bring that in. Now, next up is a sample application. All right, the Maui memory game. So what I'm going to do this time, we're just going to walk through some code. And if we take a look at the solution, you can see over here there's a view model. This game view model is going to be the main thing we're going to be walking through. So what this game is, it's a matching game, right? You flip the card over and then try to match it, and then if you miss them, they both flip back, and you got to kind of remember where each one was. If you take a look at the resource folder, all right, this one here, there's a ton of Maui samples up there, especially on Microsoft Learn. And then also this one here I found, which was very similar to what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a card matching game, right? And this is already completed. This is where I'm going. I'm going to show you my work in progress next, but this is kind of the idea. But you see, he's got several different sets to choose from, but you notice he got his naming convention here with 1 through 15, and those represent each tile. So that's what we're going to see. So let's go ahead, and this time we're going to run in Android. So let's go ahead and bring that up. All right, so anybody got a choice here? Simpsons, Star Wars? Well, I guess Star Wars, it's seen how today's the 4th, right? So we'll do that one. And this is the way it looks, right? You got low, medium, high, level difficulty. And then you get to the actual grid. And here's you're going to initialize the game. You're going to create the board and then initialize the values. So inside of here, you can see we got a 4x4 row. So there's 4 rows. There's going to be 4 columns, and you're going to divide by 2 because there's going to be 2 of each, and that's the number of distinct cards, right, that are going to be in the game. So then you can see how he prefixes each one of the images that you saw. And then when you get down to, you have to run in this big loop, the whole grid is now initialized. Okay, so over here, you can see right here, you got the first cell, all right, it's got DC6, and the false means whether it matched or not already, right? And that's what it uses. And you can see each one going through here in this this array, and you got all 4 sets are in here. So there's the next 4, right? And there's a different one in here, a DC13, and so on. So now it's going to bring up the game. And you got to help me on this. All right, so we got that one there. All right, so that's going to say, okay, are these 2 equal? No, they're not. Let's return false. Go back, and I'll go ahead and flip them back. Is that the one? Okay, good. So now we'll go through this and see what happens. So now we're going to change that fount property to found. I think you meant to say found. And then now we're going to increment the number of pairs that that were found. Go through that same logic and return true. So now it comes back and we have our game well underway, and you can see now these labels got updated at the top here. 1 pair, 4 attempts, and there's a timer on the game. So this is kind of what I'm building, something like this. All right. This also runs on an iPhone. Now let me describe my setup here on my machine. I got a MacBook Pro. And I started running Windows and VMs, and it sucked. Performance sucked no matter which, VM I picked. Visual Studio needs a lot of resources. And so I'm running off the metal now. There's Boot Camp. You can divide your drive into 2 spots. And I'm running right on the metal now, Windows. But that takes away my Mac now. So when I used to build with Xamarin, I always had to have a Mac available no matter what I did, right, to be able to build iOS apps. Well, now what I can do, what I can do is I can deploy it here. Let's move this off to side here for a second. And I'm going to go up here now and run local devices without having a Mac available. Hey, right, this is big for me, I don't have to worry about it. Now, if you go to deploy an app to the App Store, then you're going to have to wire it up to a Mac and do that. But at least I got basic functionality where I can test this without having to, load up emulators and, because all that stuff, when you use emulators, you got to have a Mac available to do it. Now, if it's hardwired in, then you're good to go. So we'll go ahead and hit run. There it is. Okay, so it says go ahead and launch MAUI memory on here. So I'll launch it. And there it comes. And now you got your game, right? You're here running on iOS on an iPhone or a tablet. You can do some testing there. So, it just keeps getting better. All right, so let's go over to the next part of this demonstration. I'm going to bring up my Ellery, the app, what I've got done so far. So in my solution, I have my SVG files over here. Now I've got to go through and do the naming convention thing like we saw in the last example, and then build my table and all that kind of stuff. But I at least got it functioning, and let me show you what I got done so far. Is if I take this SVG file, what is this? Monkey, horizontal, and then SVG. If I bring up the detail page that this is going to be shown on, the XAML, you're going to see reference to that file, but instead of SVG, you're going to put PNG in there because it converts it for you automatically. Boy, this is nice. This keeps getting better and better. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. I'll show you what I got done so far. And we'll do this on Windows. And this grid that comes up is going to have just all the images displayed that I'm going to be using in the game, at least for testing purposes. When it comes up, we'll see that there's a few things that we will want to play with. All right, and we're going to use GitHub CoPilot to do the playing with from this. Like I said, it's just so exciting right now to be a developer. Of course, I have said that for 20 years in all the presentations. I think I've said it at least one time, right? It is. It's just keep getting better and better, right? All right, so it looks like we got our buttons need a little work. Let's go in low here. And so I've got these are what the face cards will look like, and these are all the images that'll be in the deck. And this one here, and there's a go back button, which you really don't need in Windows, right? Because you got the little arrow, and the same for iOS apps, you got an arrow. And the thing you need a go back button for is Android, right? So a lot of things that we can fix here. So let's go ahead and click this, and this is going to go into my view model, see if it's flipped or not. And then that's in the view model. And then if I continue on, go to the next breakpoint here. Now this is actually on my code behind page, which is where the other guy had it too. This rotation, like to show a card being flipped, and you use that rotate to do that. Continue on, and then now this bear is showing up, right? That's the reverse side of it. So that's what I've got done so far. And let's go ask a few questions now to get GitHub CoPilot. And the first thing we looked at was the main page, the XAML. What we'll do is start asking a question like how to make buttons smaller. What it's going to come up with is, the XAML parameter that you need to make it smaller, and it should come up with its thinking. And then it's the width request property. So what you want to do is set the width request to smaller value. So if you go over there, it is, okay, that's what I need, right? So if I put the width request on these other ones, right, and run it again, all the buttons will be now, smaller. And there, I'm gonna come down. All right, so that's done. Now the next thing I want to do is, let's say I want to add in a new page. Add a new page, add a new item. I'll just type in MAUI, and we're going to do a content page, XAML, C#, and we'll call this, new page 2 is fine. All right, so now there's our label that comes up on this plain page. So what if I want to do this? So what I want to do is I want to create something similar like I just did. I said, what's the XAML, right, to generate, a row of labels and a grid below it with 4x4 images in each. So let's go ahead and type that in over here. All right, with let's say four labels. And it's very forgiving, by the way, on typos, which I do a lot of, when I'm typing in there, and it really understands, what you're really meant to type in many cases. So now look what it's doing. It's coming up with the stack layout for the labels, those 4 of those. And then we got all of the images, right, are coming up now. Here on the right, you can preview it, you can copy it, you could replace. So there's all the code. So what we're going to do is we're going to see preview. All right, so right there it's telling you, okay, there's the whole stack layout that you have. And so I'm going to copy this instead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the stack layout. You can only have one returning item at the very top, and we're going to have the stack layout that you see here, where you've got the 4 labels in the top right here, and then down below you have the grid, right, with the row definitions, column definitions, and then all the images right down below in a matter of seconds. This it'll take at least 15-20 minutes, and this is just like stuff you really don't want to remember up here. It's like, just do it, give it to me, and then I could work with this. Now, next thing you want to say, okay, I'm going to save this off, and then I'm going to say, okay, create a view model, and it should know, I'm talking about content sensitive, right? I'm working on this page, and it'll say, okay, here's the view model. And then you get your iNotify change. There's all the images that you had in there. Property changed event, and then wait, there's more. Then you got to go ahead and do the binding context and the code behind, and wait, there's more. Then you got to go ahead and make the binding, here on the page. How about that? Isn't that cool? Yeah. Again, time saver. Now I'm really getting excited. I'm saying, this stuff is so easy. This is great. I can really be so productive now just by having like a developer in your back pocket. And you know how much this is? $10 a month. Whew. That's a very good value buy, in my opinion. Okay. Yeah, it's quite a bit of hours you save, for sure. All right, now let's take a look at how to handle errors. Let's go back over to this detail page, the view model. Okay, let's go up to the top. Let's just comment out this line here, this image source. So that's going to cause an error, right, when I go to run it, because it's going to not have that defined. And this part, I think I love the best when I'm developing. How about anybody else? Who else has tried CoPilot in Do you like the error thing? Have you tried that yet? If you get an error, all I do is copy and paste, right? Copy, paste it, and then I'll clean this up a little bit, get rid of the header line, and I just fire that off. Okay, what do I got to do to fix this error? So I don't have to go out to another source now and look up this error and find out how to figure it out. And it says to fix this error, you need to uncomment the line I just commented out, right? So it knows exactly how to fix this error. And it tells you it's, that doesn't exist. And so that is, I think, that's pretty darn cool. And the last one here I'll show you on this is we wanted to get rid of that button, right, that we saw in there when we ran it. So, and specifically, let's bring up that detail, the detail page, XAML again. I like now how they stack these tabs too. I don't know when that came out, but that's pretty nice. So we got that button, the go back button in here, right here, this one here. But we don't want it to always show. We only want it to show, well, right here. What is the XAML code to only want to show the go back button for Android deployments in height for Windows and iOS? So you come back over here, you run it, and it will give you the magic code, right, that you need to do that on the button. And there it is. So you have this this code right here is what you would need. And so now we'll go ahead and run this, and you'll see now on Windows that should be disappearing, and you should not have that. All right, so now our buttons are all looking good. Bring here, there's no go back button now, right? So mission accomplished. We got that done. Wish me luck with that app. All right, and then let's go to the last thing is going to be some code in here. Let's go to like this view model. And let's say over here I want to, if you type in on a Mac keyboard, it's option slash, I think it's control slash. Now you get the inline CoPilot. And so if you just hit a slash in there, it gives you the whole menu. So I could just hit explain all by itself. And it'll give me an explanation of this entire class as to what it's doing. And then also you can highlight a section and say, make me a comment as to what this is doing. And it'll go ahead and do that too. And it's telling you there's a counter, there's an inflip method, indicating whether the image is flipped or not. And the image source property is going to be that. And so that's the gist of that one. So what you might want to do is testing next. And what you would normally do is you just right click on the solution, say add project, and go testing and add that in. So, and then add a reference to the MAUI project. But we'll see that doesn't work right out of the box. And even AI didn't help me. I had to teach AI something, how to get that to work. That felt really good, actually. Okay. Let's add in our unit test project. We're going to go to add, new project. And we're going to do test and unit test C#. That'd be the one. Go ahead and do that one. And it's going to do, I used to do .test. Go next. And also .NET 8 support. And then also the next thing, what do you got to do? You got to add a reference in to this project here. Let me build this thing first. Build. Trust me, it errors. There's an error in here. And I went round and round on this error with GitHub CoPilot. And it just kept me in a circle, really. It just didn't know how to do this. And so I got on the internet, I did some searching. I found an article, and I got a link in the slide. And I got a link, a QR code at the end here so you can get my deck and everything. And so now that's all set. So now what I want to do is I want to add a project reference. Add project reference. So we're going to reference our main line up here. And then let's bring up the testing Explorer. All right, there's one test in there right now. Well, if I had a view model, all I do is, type in, hey, I got this view model. Give me test code to test it with. And it'll go through every method that you have in there and give you a lot of different combinations. Then you can run it. So right now, though, this is the trick that you got to do is you got to go into the project file here, and you got to make a few changes because I mentioned that this will not work. So what the first change is, you want to go and put, you need something else in here. You need net 8.0 by itself. All right, that's tip one. And then the second thing you got to do is you got to come down to replace this output condition for just the exe, but you want to put a specific exclusion here. So let's go here, and you can say, okay, I'm going to output condition when the target framework is not net 8.0, and that's it. So in summary, we saw some very cool features with GitHub CoPilot, feature after feature, and I'm excited about developing and coding again. Really am. I mean, it's been a while since I rolled up my sleeves and started writing apps. I've been doing blockchain for 4.5 years, and I love coming back to .NET and C#. And that Build conference really excited me last year. Anybody going to Build this year? It's in a week or two, I think. And then MAUI is really getting to be mature. When it first came out, there was a ton of bugs, and it was very painful. I remember demoing MAUI with there was an extension. Algorand has an extension in Visual Studio, and it was very painful to get that set up and running. And then testing, I just want to save you a little pain there. If you go to do testing with MAUI, you can use .NET 8 in both, and then you just got to fix up the project file accordingly. And then so there's the source code for the memory game, but you don't have to copy it down because this deck here has that link in it, and it's a link tree. Anybody here use Linktree? That's great, isn't it? It's just so easy. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the code can.